I think that we will make a deal with China. I think we've had some very good talks, but we will have some very good talks remaining. And, I view it, and some people say, oh, rush. I think we have a lot of time. I think we have plenty of time. I would think over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think maybe the whole thing could be concluded.
Trump delays TikTok decision amid ongoing China trade negotiations, April 18, 2025. President Donald Trump has announced a postponement in the decision regarding TikTok's operations in the United States, citing ongoing trade negotiations with China as the primary reason for the delay. The president emphasized that while a deal concerning TikTok is in place, its finalization will await the resolution of broader trade matters with China. Background on TikTok's U.S. operations. TikTok, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, faced scrutiny over national security concerns, leading to legislative actions requiring the divestment of its U.S. operations. The Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act mandated that ByteDance sell its U.S. assets or face a ban. Initially set for January 19, 2025. The enforcement of this act was delayed by President Trump upon taking office, granting a 75-day extension, followed by another 75-day delay on April 4th, pushing the deadline to mid-June. Trade negotiations with China. The U.S. and China have been engaged in escalating trade tensions, with both countries imposing significant tariffs on each other's goods. President Trump has indicated a potential shift in this approach, expressing concerns that further tariff increases could negatively impact consumer behavior. He noted that excessively high tariffs, such as the current 125% duty imposed on American products by China, could lead to a drop in demand. China has also signaled a willingness to de-escalate, suggesting that both sides may be open to negotiation. President Trump has set an ambitious timeline of 3 to 4 weeks to finalize ongoing trade deal negotiations, despite initially claiming there was no rush. Implications for TikTok. The delay in the TikTok decision is closely tied to the broader trade discussions. President Trump has indicated that resolving TikTok's fate could be quickly managed during broader trade negotiations. Companies like Amazon, Oracle, influencer Merbeast have shown interest in acquiring TikTok's U.S. operations. However, China's response to the U.S. tariffs has influenced the negotiations. China withdrew its support for a near-finalized deal that included ByteDance, maintaining a minority position in a new U.S.-based company, owned by American investors, after President Trump imposed reciprocal tariffs against it. Broader political context. President Trump's administration has been active in addressing various policy areas. He has extended a hiring freeze on civilian executive branch workers and announced plans to sign executive orders to boost commercial fishing and lobster harvesting. Additionally, the administration faces multiple legal and political challenges, including protests over deep funding cuts to education and actions against international students. The administration is also reconsidering tax-exempt statuses of several entities, including Harvard University and watchdog groups. Furthermore, President Trump expressed strong support for a future EU-S trade deal during a visit from Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, asserting it would be a fair deal, though emphasizing there was no rush. Conclusion. President Trump's decision to delay the TikTok deal underscores the interconnectedness of trade negotiations and national security concerns, as the administration continues to navigate complex international relationships. The future of TikTok's operations in the U.S. remains uncertain, pending the outcome of broader trade discussions with China.
Matter of weeks, so it's been pretty amazing.
You said we're talking, so China and the U.S. are talking
Yeah.
on tariffs.
Oh, sure.
Do you believe then that they won't go higher than 125%? We've heard Chinese officials say that. And then, what happens if they do go higher? Do we retaliate more?
Well,
than
at a certain point,
125?
I don't want them to go higher, because at a certain point, you make it where people don't buy. So I may not want to go higher, or I may not want to even go up to that level. I may want to go to less, because, you want people to buy. And at a certain point, people aren't going to buy.
How
And
far
you
along
pre-
are
And
these
it's actually up to 145% because you have the 20.
You previously said that you would consider reducing tariffs on China to get a TikTok deal done. Is that still on the table as of now?
Well, we have a deal for TikTok, but it'll be subject to China, so we'll just delay the deal till this thing works out one
If
way or
they
the other.
say-
And I think it's a good deal for China. The TikTok deal is very good. TikTok is good for China, and I think they'd like to see us do a deal, especially the deal that we have pretty much done with some of the best companies in the world.
If they agree to sign the deal, would you take that into consideration?
I think it would be
when
something
talking
we
about reducing
discuss because
tariffs?
it's a natural. If we're making a deal, I guess we'll spend 5 minutes and talk about TikTok. It wouldn't take very long.
Can you give us a